don't actually need your textbooks out right now. Okay, you just need paper for notes. Okay, I'm going to show you my textbook. There it is. Okay, these are all quadrilaterals. Who can tell me the definition of a quadrilateral? Andrew.
Closed polygon on a two-dimensional plane with 4 sides.
There you go. 4 sides, closed figure. Okay, and I'll show you what it means to be a non-closed figure. Okay, and it's 2-dimensional. Quadrilaterals are not 3-dimensional. That means they're not boxes, they're not rectangles, they're not pyramids, they're not cylinders. They're just flat surfaces. Okay. So we have some special quadrilaterals and we have some normal quadrilaterals. Okay. So an open, let me just show you first what an open figure would look like. So I'm just going to draw in my little book, and if I had an open figure, a 4-sided open figure would look like that, meaning that they don't close, they don't touch. It doesn't actually seal and make a shape. Does that make sense? Okay. So then you can't find an area because it's not actually a shape. All right? So our quadrilaterals that we know are the square, okay, and the rectangle. Now what's the difference between the square and the rectangle? Ibri, tell me the difference.
A rectangle is a square and a square is
No. It's the other way around. Why?
Because a rectangle doesn't have 4 equal
Okay,
sides.
stop. You have to raise your hand in my class because there's lots of people that would like a chance to answer. Okay, try again. Raise your hand. Good. Andrew.
Because rectangles don't have 4 equal sides.
It doesn't have 4 equal sides, but a square does. But the definition of a rectangle is 4 right angles and 2 sets of parallel lines, which fits the square's definition. But the square adds one more piece to their definition. It has to have 4 equal sides. The side lengths are officially equal. These are also 2 sets of parallel lines. They are also 4 right angles, but it has that extra piece where all the legs are the same length. Okay? And then we have the rhombus, which a rhombus is very similar to a square in that it has 4 equal side lengths. See the little symbols that they drew for us? Okay? The only problem with the rhombus, and which makes it not a square, is what? What do you think, Haley? Why isn't a rhombus a square? They're acute angles. Okay? And in fact, it's 2 acute and 2 obtuse. Okay? But the idea is that there are no right angles. Okay? So if I wanted to solve for the area of this rhombus, what would I need? Brianna? What's the word? We learned it last week. Begins with an A. Or an H. Come on. What do you think, Aditi? A height. And what does a height do? Why do we need a height? Because we got this length that looks like it could be a height. What does a height do? It makes a right angle. Okay, and we can only use a height when it forms that right angle. Okay, and then our formula becomes base times height. Okay, not length times width. Because length times width only works for a square and a rectangle because they have, no, because they have 4 right angles, because they are heights, because their length is a height, because it makes a 4 right angle. So really, we should not be teaching children area is length times width. We should be teaching children from the very little age that it's really a height times a base, okay? Because that height has to be there in order to solve for area. All right, now look at the parallelogram. A parallelogram is any figure that has 2 sets of parallel sides. So, is a rhombus a parallelogram? Yes. Is a rectangle a parallelogram? Yes. Is a square a parallelogram? Yes. Is a trapezoid a parallelogram? No. Is a rhombus a quadrilateral? Yes. So you could name this figure by calling it a quadrilateral, a parallelogram, or a rhombus. Okay, it's got 3 names. This guy, what are his names? Who can tell me? Aubrey, what do you think his names are? looking at the rectangle. He's what? Okay, who can help her out? Tessa, what names can we give to this shape? A rectangle. Another one. Tanner.
A rhombus.
It's not a rhombus.
Oh wait, no, it's not because it doesn't have a parallelogram.
It's a parallelogram. Another one. Anna. A what? A quadrilateral. Okay, that's it. There's no more. Oh, it's a polygon.
Wait,
Okay,
correct.
yes.
Is a square also a rhombus?
A square is not a rhombus because rhombuses do not have right angles.
Okay.
Okay, so name the square. Name all his names. Caitlin.
I have a question. You said that the rectangle has to have 4 angles.
So rectangle is a parallelogram, but not all parallelograms are rectangles because in order to be a rectangle, it must have the right angles. But to be a parallelogram, does it have to have right angles? No, but it can. It just doesn't have to. Does that make sense? Okay. So name all the names for a square. Tanner, name one. Parallelogram. Olivia. Quadrilateral. Ibri. Polygon. Alyssa. It's not a rhombus.
A square.
Oh, I guess
that is.
actually you could call it a rhombus because rhombus by definition is 4 equal lengths. You're right.
Yeah.
Rhombus. Sam.
A
A rectangle. What else? A polygon. Did we miss one? Did we say square?
Two
A square.
triangles.
Okay. So when you look at all of these